This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Welcome to the August 16th meeting of the Community Relations Committee. We'd like to thank Easthampton Media for posting our recordings on YouTube. All past meetings of the CRC can be found on Easthampton Media's YouTube account for viewing at any time. For the benefit of those joining us from the community, I'd like to start this meeting by sharing our mission statement. The Community Relations Committee's mission is to promote positive relations throughout Easthampton's diverse population. We'll work to build a sense of inclusion, community, and pride where community members feel welcome, accepted, and valued. So we'll start with roll call. Rebecca Pasa.
Here.
Jan Norman. Marla Solomon.
Here.
Mary Ansara.
Here.
And myself, Emily Britton, here. Great. Okay. So next on the agenda is announcements. Does anyone have any announcements?
Well, ideally, if we could find it, we would announce that racial justice program that
oh, right, that the mayor's
poll sent out. I will see if I can find it.
That was called 3 County something.
It's a two racial equity partners. August 24th, 1 to 3 p.m. Via Zoom. Racial equity in action, calling people in with scenarios. August 31st, historical analysis updated. What I will do is, let's see. If this works like Zoom and I can put it in the chat, that won't record it, right? I could say for those interested, please contact SDIAZ, SDIAZ at communityaction.us for a 2-part practical racial equity workshop. Does that do it?
I think so.
Yeah. Sounds interesting. I won't be able to go because of the timing. I have to be at work.
Is this something from out of Greenfield? Looks like a group from Greenfield community.
I don't know. It's something that Nicole LaChapelle, our mayor, she sent out to an undisclosed list.
Right.
Right.
Looks like it's coming out of community action in Greenfield. So I just wondered what COC, Equity and Inclusion Committee, is.
Right.
Well, the address is
Community Action in Greenfield.
communityaction.us.
Right.
Community Action Pioneer Valley.
Right, so they're calling themselves 3 County.
If I could share my screen, I could show their website.
I think that you have to be a co-host to share a screen.
All right, so I think we can leave it at that. Hopefully, next time something like this comes up, we'll get a heads up from the mayor. I've asked her if in the future we could.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mary. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other announcements?
I wanted to say that I had promised to reach out to Derek Dean I finally got an email back. He has a secretary, and so I've scheduled an appointment to talk to him on September 1st.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that'll happen, and I will then report on that. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Thank you. You can report on it on September 5th when we have our next meeting. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
September 5th, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Which I will not be here for.
Right. Right.
Right, because you'll be away.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, did somebody bring up, or maybe that was October. I'm feeling like there was something, maybe on September 5th. I think I have a potential conflict just because there are some people that are going to have an online memorial for somebody who passed away on September 5th.
Mm. Mm. Okay, well, we'll talk about meeting times at the end, maybe.
Yeah, and that'll give me a chance to look up the time.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Next thing on the agenda, any other announcements? Yeah, I can tell you that I've been doing my homework despite having COVID. I talked to 4 women about essential partners, and 3 of them were highly praiseworthy. This is the group that could help us with conversations on polarizing topics. And then the 4th one raved about them, but said that it was a lot of work and then they didn't get the right people there. And so anyway, from Sheridan, Wyoming to Newburyport, Mass to Warwick, New York, and then Wellesley. Yeah, it was really interesting hearing all their stories, but I'm not yet convinced that we should go with them, and I would need to talk more with you guys and also with Jenny Papa George, who was first alerted to them. And I want to look into another organization called Braver Angels. Have any of you heard of Braver Angels?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So,
One way or the other, I'm still convinced that what we need to do is a train the trainers.
mm-hmm.
So that if we're spending money on this, especially,
Mm-hmm.
that what we're doing is pulling together a group of people beyond just ourselves
Mm-hmm.
who can get trained to lead difficult conversations. And
Mm-hmm.
then we, the community, are the ones who are organizing and leading the difficult conversations, not having outsiders.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Help Easthampton to have difficult conversations.
Yeah, so Essential Partners does that. They train people to be facilitators of these difficult conversations. But they charge at least $800 a person. So if we had a bunch of people, it ends up being about $10,000 at least. So that's why I was curious about Braver Angels, because apparently they're free. But I don't know if they train people to facilitate these conversations. So I'm not sure about.
I think there's other people. And I think there's other people who are community-based,
Mm-hmm.
who are invested in it in a way that's quite personal.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Derek may be a good source of finding those people for us.
Mm-hmm.
I did look into Cooperative Extension Service, and it appears to be completely decimated.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't looked at the national level.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's already been problematic in the past when we've had outsiders come in to try to organize the community to behave better. It hasn't been well received.
Right.
And I think that our mission is for us to learn and teach our neighbors how to do this.
Right.
And to spend our whole budget on it does not seem
Right.
right approach.
Right.
I mean, I'm sort of right back to Troy Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, what a lesson, what a schooling.
Yeah.
And I think we need to trust ourselves and trust our neighbors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right.
And get the help we need that's more direct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we want to dig into this right now or not. Are we still in announcements? Or
Yeah, we ought to stay.
I would add that I looked into Braver Angels a while back, and it seems, you know, kind of like what you're describing, Mary. But I think, you know, we'd want to get more information first about it to make sure it really aligns with what we want. But they do skills workshops. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just trying to get a read on like who the people are who typically do it, and whether it's, you know, a multi-racial leadership too, because, you know, that's important. So,
right.
Yeah. Anyway, so we could, you know, do some digging around about that. But
okay.
I'm also looking on the website, and while it does truly look wonderful, it says bringing red and blue together.
Yeah, it's political.
And I don't know if ours is a political focus per se.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a lot of their focus is that. But whether we use some of the same, you know, things to broaden that, I don't know.
Actually, I have an idea. You know, there was this group in, I think it's Leverett, and I know some people who were part of it through, I believe, Mount Toby Friends, who had for several years an exchange and a relationship with a small town in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That was all from Paula Green.
Hands Across the Hills or whatever.
Yeah. I think we should talk to them and see. I mean, it's different from what we're talking about. That was from one town to another. Well, I think there's resources for us here.
Yeah, I mean, if Karuna Center, which was, you know, Paul Green's group, I mean, they do a lot of that work too, but they also probably charge a lot of money.
I know somebody on the board, and I could ask them. I may see them tomorrow morning.
Yeah, awesome.
Just so you know, we had looked into Paula Green in the very beginning, or not in the very beginning, but when I was on one of the subcommittees to try and find people to lead a forum for us. And it was, Paula was not attractive to some of the members of the CRC because she was white. And so we ended up dropping that idea. But if we're talking about training us or training other people in the community to lead these conversations, just so you know. A lot of history with Paula Green. She was discussed quite a bit in this committee.
Can you tell me how I would find her?
She's deceased. Yeah.
Karuna Center is her organization.
Oh, she's at the Karuna Center. Okay, I just know Jennifer McKenna there.
I mean, there's other groups. There's the Intercultural Institute for Social Change out of Boston, but they work here locally too. And I'm going to meet on Friday with one of the organizers of the Undoing Racism Organizing Collective, because they're trying to kind of reboot. You know, they took a hit during COVID. Their model, I think, was difficult to translate online. And so I'm going to find out, you know, like what are they doing now and what are they trying to do? They are having, in the light of announcements, they're going to do a workshop on the weekend of September 30th. Also, is why I said I wasn't sure whether I could do the porch thing because, you know, they asked me if I would help out with that workshop. So I don't know yet if it's, you know, whether it's really happening and all of that.
I'm sorry, the Intercultural Center for?
No, this is the Undoing Racism Organizing Collective, which has done, you know, anti-racism workshops in this area for lots of years. They work mostly out of Springfield, but there's people involved from all the different towns around here.
Are they the ones that did a couple of sessions for Easthampton?
No, I don't.
Undoing racism? No.
I think the people that the mayor hired might have used a similar model, the People's Institute model, right? Right. They do use that model, but I think it's a different group. It's not those folks. What was his name? The one that the mayor got involved? I can't remember now, but yeah, but it is historically they have based on the People's Institute model of workshop, which in my experience was quite good, but I don't know what they're going to do now. We'll find out soon.
So may I suggest we move on?
Well, I have something further to say just because I feel like, see, there was, as we had considered what our work is, part of it had to do with outreach, and we have a list of like groups and organizations in town. And I bring that up because I had been paying attention when Braver Angels, formerly known as Better Angels, made some efforts locally. So, for example, I met Rod Robertson of Amherst, who was, he was on, you know, you sort of had to identify, are you blue or red? Well, he was blue, but he met some folks on the red side, and they had at least one like full day workshop in Easthampton, maybe one or two. And I think that it's worth, you know, knowing that and knowing who is involved and knowing the challenges. It was, it seems like it was a challenge to get people on the Republican side involved. And I think it's worth knowing. And I think, so it sounds like the feedback on Essential Partners, Emily, is part that after a lot of work to get the workshop together, then you don't get the participants you're looking for. So I feel like the outreach is part of getting those local participants. And it might be that it comes together at the same time. I think we thought to each other, well, if we started making phone calls, what would we be saying? But, you know, so I just knew that Gazette carried some articles about some efforts. Let me see whether as a, I think I can.
Excuse me. I think this is really important, but I think it's not announcements, and we have a whole agenda to get through.
Okay, well, I just don't, you know, these topics go by like this, and I think it's worth knowing that Braver Angels, for example, has some background here locally.
Right.
You know? So, all right, so end of story.
No, I think it's all important. I just think, you know, we have an agenda to get through and one and possibly two events to plan.
Yeah. Okay. So next on the agenda after announcements is approval of minutes. I haven't seen any minutes come through.
I thought it was public speak. I mean, I can speak to that, but.
Sorry, you're right. Public speak is next. Yes, sorry.
It looks like, do we have a visitor?
Well, I think we would just, I think we would just open it up. So if our visitor would like to say something, a public speak, that would be now. And if not, we'll just move ahead.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So I have two sets of minutes works in progress, and you haven't seen them because I haven't reached their end. I'm sorry, but those are in progress. I hope to get them out to you tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Rebecca.
Sure.
Okay. So next On the agenda is a discussion regarding the proposed ordinance on anti-Semitism and any action items about that.
Okay, so I think I didn't, I should have emailed, and I emailed about the city council meeting, but not the further one that I was gonna say, because at the city council meeting I attended, Councilor Zaret spoke up and said some things about where he was at with that and how he would like help with outreach. So after the city council meeting, I decided to pick up the phone and call him. You know, I'm sure he was tired, but he answered the phone. And so I wanted to know, you know, the status of the proposed ordinance, which he actually said is in the Public Safety Committee. And he wasn't sure when the public safety was having a next meeting, but he thought later this month. When I last looked at the calendar, I didn't see it, but I could do that again. And overall, he, you know, was mentioning having done some outreach, but not getting a lot of support. So I think the question for the CRC is whether we'd want to agree to choose up sides, let's say, so-called. And
what do you mean choose up sides?
That's my dad's expression. He used to say, let's choose up sides and go to bed, you know, when it was late at night. In other words, that we just agree that let's reach out and maybe, you know, one of us could call, say, the Congregational Church and see if they would support the ordinance, or, you know, if there's other groups that would support it.
Well, what does, I mean, my first question is, what does Owen mean when he says he'd like assistance with outreach? Because he might have an idea. And the other is, if you already have, you said you had a list of organizations already for another purpose of Easthampton organizations.
Yeah,
maybe
we had
that. And then the last thing I want to say is that I don't think it was just you and me, Emily. I think we all talked about it, that the idea of whatever we do, we're going to try to enlist volunteers rather than just try to do it all ourselves. Was that all of us? If it wasn't all of us, I'd like to make it all of us. So that if we decide that we want to take on supporting this ordinance, then the first thing we would do would be to look for people to work with us on outreach. And then we would compile the list of, with Owen, of to whom we should reach out, which would, and then we would divide it up among the volunteers, hopefully volunteers and us. Does that sound like a reasonable plan?
I like that idea. I am wondering, have you all already seen the ordinance? Because I have not had eyes on it. So,
well,
did you talk about it at your last meeting already? And I just that, or
I found it in my email from Emily, and Owen had thought that it got sent out to us. So I did end up finding that Emily sent it. Now that was a little while ago, right? I can maybe find it again.
Right, I can look for it if it's got sent.
I have it right here. The city of Easthampton will pledge to officially reject the perpetuation of anti-Semitism and condemn anti-Semitic acts and statements as hateful expressions of intolerance, fundamentally inimical to American values. That's a quote unquote. It also calls for a Holocaust commemoration, which I know from my years in Cambridge is a wonderful thing to do. And also includes more than just the Jewish Holocaust, as well as providing education to residents and students about anti-Semitism. Both Zaret and Gorenstein of the Jewish Federation of Western Massachusetts say the hope is that other Western Massachusetts use this resolution as a model. So basically, it's the actionable part, which I think would probably come into our account, is a Holocaust remembrance, which I believe is February or May. I can't remember when the official time for it is, but there's actually an official time that it's done everywhere. And I once had the extraordinary experience in this annual commemoration that we had in Cambridge of sort of towards the end, you stand up and you remember people lost to a Holocaust, to the Holocaust. And I worked in Lowell with with a number of Cambodians. And I stood up and remembered a friend whose family had been lost in the Cambodian Holocaust. And after the ceremony, somebody came up to me and said, "Where is he? I've been looking for him." It's the camps.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it in my inbox, and so maybe if somebody wouldn't mind just forwarding it again to me.
I found it June 15th,
June 15th.
and I'll forward it.
Thank you very much.
forward it to all of us because I just found a news report of it.
We'll do. Sorry about the noise. Let's see if I can turn it off.
So I think first we decide if we want to.
I see it. I got it.
First we decide if we want to work on this, and then we decide what parts of it we want to do, and who's going to do it with us. So can we make a formal decision on that?
Let's just see if does Marla want to read any of it first, or
But it's long, so
I
I don't want to take the time now. Obviously, I'm behind on this, but
right.
So yeah. Sorry, I didn't read it earlier. Somehow I missed it.
That's okay.
Can you you're forwarding it to everybody? Oh,
Yeah.
yes, there you are.
There is a red line in the middle, so Councilor Zaret mentioned some language getting taken out. So,
Mary, how would we enlist volunteers outside of this committee?
We would post a notice
Mm-hmm.
on the city website and on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps we would ask Mayor Nicole to
Mm-hmm.
send it out to her list.
Mm-hmm.
It's clearly she has them.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a Facebook page, I'm assuming.
yes, we do.
We do.
So we would put it there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would make phone calls and emails if we had the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can think of 2 or 3 people
Mm-hmm.
to reach out to. And, it could be that there are former members
Mm-hmm.
of the CRC who might be interested.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Well, I know that Owen would appreciate the other, religious organizations in Easthampton, at least. In terms of others, I don't know. But
Or we could limit ourselves to I have a list of all of the churches in Easthampton,
mm-hmm.
every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And we could decide that that's just what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think first we should decide formally if this is something that we want to support and do outreach on as part of our mission. And then we should decide what piece of it we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be the simplest since we have a lot on our plate, is just call these, I think it's probably about 13 different churches.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's more than I thought. 13.
Yeah, that might be more than what we've got on our list. So it'd be great to have that information.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do note that toward the end, it's resolved that the resolution would be sent to Community Relations Committee requesting action points in order to educate its residents of all ages about anti-Semitism through public events, workshops, film screenings, and other suitable means. So it seems like there's an implication in this for us to be doing education around anti-Semitism. So that's why I wanted to kind of really read it, like what is it? Not that we're required to, but there's implication in here that that would be part of the remit if this resolution were passed. So,
Right.
Wanting to be sure that we're in, we're aware of that. Let me just put it that way.
Right.
Right.
I
guess the other question, I don't know, to be frank, part of it makes me wonder about, like, are we going to have a resolution about every single group that is really unprotected, basically, in our city? And I wouldn't mind that, but
right.
I was just wondering about that.
Right.
Marla, I think that that's a reasonable concern, because when I was just reading this briefly, I was thinking of other persecuted groups and wishing that the resolution or ordinance or whatever it was is not watered down, but took up the issue of persecution, in the whereases.
In general, yeah. He has a thing in here in the beginning. It's sort of like that, but what does he say? He's talking about at the bottom of page 1, whereas white supremacists in the U.S. and Massachusetts have exploited and continue to exploit bigotry and hate for political gain, targeting marginalized communities, et cetera, et cetera. So it kind of acknowledges that aspect there. Just as sort of part of the system.
I actually wish that it were an ordinance that condemned hate, bigotry, and ultranationalism. Just thinking of the attacks. Just because we're in a period of time where, on the other hand, this is a foot in the door.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be curious to talk to the city councilors and see what they think.
Has he spoken to this group about it? Did he come to the meeting and talk about it at all with y'all, or no?
Not directly. No. He spoke with me at one point, not in this meeting. And Rebecca,
Well, I called him.
Yeah.
So this wasn't anything like he presenting to all of us. No.
Yeah, because one thing could be, again, I don't know, maybe drawing this out too much, but what, again, thinking about, like, what are our jobs to do in the city? And one of them that we talked about with the city council was that when there was something like this, that we would be asked to review it, not just to, promote it, but to review it and to provide commentary, like the kind of commentary we're having right now.
I think you're right, Marla. And I know if I were trying to, as I have in the past, if I were trying to get support for an ordinance, the first thing I would be doing would be to talk to every city councilor and see what they have to say about it. So.
Well, yeah.
And I think, this is something that Owen is very invested in. And I'm wondering what other city councilors think along the lines of what you've been saying. Because there's no point pushing for an ordinance that the city councilors are not going to support.
Right. And I think without our own kind of, maybe deeper assessment of it, and I would not be prepared to just call churches and say, can you support this? Like, I don't know, that just wouldn't feel genuine to me. Though, of course, I definitely support, working against anti-Semitism. Yeah, those are the questions that I have right now about it. So maybe some action steps could be that we could ask Owen to come talk to us, or like you're saying, Mary, we could, I don't know, try to reach out to the other city councilors and see what they think. I don't know if they will talk to us, or we could, just like really study it and bring together at our next meeting, here are our thoughts about it. Here's our assessment about it. And then provide that to Owen and see, what he'll do with it.
But there's other people in the ordinance committee who are studying this and thinking about it. So it might be so simple as that we discuss it with the ordinance committee. Okay. Because the other thing that I want to say, I'm finding this in a peace organization that I'm in the leadership of, a statewide one. That the problem that we're finding is that there's this atmosphere and attitude in the country that if you don't support anything and everything that condemns anti-Semitism, then you're being anti-Semitic. And I don't want to feel subject to that.
It's very difficult. Yeah. And that's not just in that domain. I mean, that comes up in other domains too, but
it sure does. You're with us or you're against us. That's the national attitude.
Right.
Well, I like that idea of talking to the ordinance committee. Could we invite ourselves to their meeting, or how would that work?
Well, it's not in the ordinance committee right now. It's in the public safety committee. So
how does that work, Emily? Why does it go to public safety and not to ordinance?
I don't know. Does Rebecca know that? I don't know.
I didn't get the best sense of why that is.
Yeah.
Maybe it's there first because a lot of it's about public safety and they're looking at it, or
right.
Maybe it'll go to ordinance after.
I guess, yeah. I guess I also want to say, like, I think, like, obviously there's a lot of like chicken or egg thing here, but I mean, I think we could read it ourselves really carefully and come up with any questions that we might have, and then ask Owen, the questions. I don't believe we should be asking city councilors what they think of it. Don't you think we should have our own opinion of it? Shouldn't we be able to decide whether we think it's a good ordinance and then say we support it? And it seems to me like that would be something we could do.
Yes, though very aware of the weight that puts on us.
Right. Or we could stay out of it entirely, thinking that it's going to end up becoming a political thing. I don't know. Right.
Well, maybe we should start by reading it thoroughly and then taking it up next meeting.
Yeah, it's probably go on for a while anyway.
Yeah. I know that I read it a long time ago and I thought it sounded great. Like there was nothing I disagreed with or thought that shouldn't be in there, but I don't look at things with a lens of like, how does this impact a city government or yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, and that's not really our job. That's the council's job.
Right.
But what we can bring is like, looking at the bigger picture of the community overall, that we're, particularly representative of it. But, how does it, what are the potential implications of it in the absence of other kinds of resolutions that, we don't have? But I mean, I got to be honest. I mean, I don't know what all the resolutions are in the city.
Right.
Oh, actually, recently, because I was looking for it in relationship to something else, I actually found the list of all of them.
Okay.
If I'll find that again, I can send it to us.
On the website. Yeah, I think you can find it. I just, and then
I did find it. And all we really need is the index.
Right. Okay, so do we have next steps on this then? We are going to read and...
Yeah, why don't we say we all read it and devise any questions we may have.
Or comments. I mean, I think it doesn't have to
Right,
be a question.
right. And then, do we want to collect them and then tell Owen that we'd love for him to come meet with us, or do we just? Excuse me.
Thank you.
I mean, he's a busy guy. I don't know. Doesn't seem.
Well, we can maybe see what our comments are, put them together, or decide what we want to communicate.
Okay.
Yeah, and then say that if he'd like to discuss them, then our next meeting, A, B, C, D, E or something, and he could let us know.
Okay.
I like that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So who would?
I am sending the link to the city ordinances.
Okay.
Wonderful. Great.
Thanks.
And did you say that's a list of resolutions?
Resolutions and proclamations. I've got a page saying that, but I don't know if there's
This
everything.
is City of Easthampton City Ordinances updated as of July 6, 2023.
Right. Okay. If you're
Hopefully
seeing,
that's useful.
sure, I've looked at it a lot from the standpoint of forums and things. But yeah, so Marla, you found something with proclamations, resolutions.
Yeah, let me just send that too.
Great, thank you.
There's a chat, right? We can put it in here.
Well, I don't think
There is.
when we use Zoom with the city, we didn't use chat. It just doesn't include the public in the same way.
Oh, I see. Okay. So I should just email it.
Thank you.
Okay. So who would like to collect the questions and comments on the ordinance?
We just bring them to our next meeting.
Well, yeah, are we gonna, yeah.
We can do that. We can do that. Okay. Bring to the next meeting. Okay. Okay, should we move on?
Yep.
So the next is a discussion re a development of a relationship with the Nipmuc and additional Native peoples, including but not limited to members of the Nolambika Project. So, Mary, thank you for doing so much thinking on this. Yeah, and time. Yeah.
So I did speak to 3 people at the Nolambika Festival by email after we saw them when we were there. One of them is David Brule, who we heard give that fabulous history, and he's president of the council. And then I spoke with 2 other people, and I invited them to be here. But I haven't heard back from them since I initially heard from them when they said, yes, they'd be glad to help us. And clearly they're not here.
Right.
So talking with Emily, actually, I've come up with a couple of different ideas. One is that on October 9th, Indigenous Peoples Day, we have a program. The Nolambika Project has, they have something that I sent to people, and I would post here if I could, but people can go to nolambika.org/indigenous-voices. And they can read about it. But they have a series of short videos that we could put together, maybe an hour's program, and invite David Brule or somebody else to come and make a combination of presentation and have a conversation with us afterwards about who lives here, what it was like, what happened, who's still here, like that. And either there were 2 ideas about this. One would be to have it at Luthier's, where we've had programs before. And the other would be to have it at Easthampton Media, where we could have a live audience, and we could also have, they also live stream it as well as putting it on their television station so that we could actually involve people in the discussion afterwards. Also on YouTube. And that room holds about 50 people. The only disadvantage to it that I can see is that, you know, it's sort of at the end of Eastworks and not sort of as public a spot as Luthier's.
Right.
Luthier's is rather crowded and informal for something like this. So it's hard to like sit together in community there. The other suggestion that went with this was the idea of having a community dinner. And we could do that, and we could even do this presentation at a place like Marigold. Now, the thing about Luthier and Marigold, which are both wonderful spots, I think we have to pay for them, whereas Easthampton Media, we do not. And also it's recorded to use afterwards. The idea of a dinner sounded pretty wonderful, but there's two problems with it that I can see. One is that I know, because we were trying to get an Indigenous chef for an event we're having in Boston on the 8th, everybody is busy that weekend. I mean, it's Indigenous weekend and everybody is busy. The only people who would be available is Sly Fox Den 2 restaurant in Rhode Island, which is a fabulous restaurant with an award-winning chef, an amazing menu. And it's expensive, so it'd be about $45 a person. So we would end up needing to subsidize it in order to ensure that people could come out of our budget. So that led me to have another idea, which could be in addition to, or we could simply skip the October 9th idea as being too close to us to do a real outreach and organizing job. Maybe, maybe not. And also because we have a commitment to Porch Fest. And we could think about having an alternative Thanksgiving, not on Thanksgiving Day, where we had a community dinner and invited people from the Nipmuc community to join us. And there's nothing like building a relationship around food. You know, we could even see if we could find a way to include some of the school children in that. You know, either by them doing a project and then presenting it at the dinner, or, you know, we could work with Nolan Bika and also with other people in the Nipmuc community to see what might be possible. So that would be an alternative proposal. So those are my two ideas.
I think they're all good ideas. What do you guys think, Marla and Rebecca?
Yeah, I think, you know, thank you for doing all that thinking and work about it. Let's see. So our primary goal, right, is to educate Easthampton residents about Nipmuc folks and their history, right? That's our. And so the more people we can get involved, the better. And it strikes me as if you know, no matter which time and what format, it would be nice to somehow do something where there was something attractive for families, you know, kids, maybe some activities or something, I don't know, that were specifically targeted for them. Because that, I feel like, from what I've observed a little bit in public events, seems to be that's a big constituency in Easthampton, you know, families with kids, and they're looking for things to do with them. And so that's one thought that I have. Yeah, I guess, you know, the food thing I love, and it also, you know, might be a lot to try to pull off. But I wonder if there's a dialed down version of it we could do, you know, like, I don't know. I don't know what that would look like, but yeah, either timing. I mean, I kind of like the Thanksgiving one myself, just sort of gut feeling, and something else around that. You know, not.
How do you feel about like the Indigenous National Day of Mourning at Thanksgiving time?
Right. Well, they do that big thing out on the Cape. Yeah. And I've gone to that once. Yeah, that's kind of a big production. So I don't know if it was compete with that, you know, I mean, people.
That's on Thanksgiving Day.
It's on Thanksgiving Day, correct? Yeah.
And I think from the perspective, I mean, I want you to finish your thoughts, but I think from the perspective of the time of the people who we would want to do it with us, from the Nipmuc community, and also from the perspective of who wants to come to an alternative Thanksgiving in Easthampton. I don't think we should compete with Thanksgiving Day. I think we should have it the week before, or, you know, something like that.
Well, I bring up the mourning in relationship to Thanksgiving, you know, because it was the settlers who wanted to give thanks, whereas at least the Wampanoag aren't so sure. There's a nice speech by James, maybe his name is Wamsutta, I don't know how to pronounce it, that the Mayflower descendants were going to invite him to speak, but then when they saw what he was going to say, they said no. You know, but I feel like if there's a relationship to Thanksgiving, it would only be sensitive to realize that that's a national day of mourning for them, or some of them, right? So that I feel like we would want to talk to them about what kind of theme, like if we do it in November, what sort of theme are they comfortable with?
Right.
You know, I don't know that Thanksgiving would be comfortable.
Right. Plus it'd be cold and we couldn't have it outside. I mean, the one place that we could have it is, you know, Eastworks has that large room. But otherwise, wouldn't it be wonderful to have it, you know, down the middle of Cottage Street?
Like you're talking about showing films, we're not going to be doing it outside either, right? We're going to be showing films. Yeah. You can do film showing outside, but it gets a little tricky.
No, that wasn't. I mean, and the other third idea is to talk to ECA about doing something for an art walk.
I was thinking if we did a meal and it wasn't too cold yet, outdoors in Nonotuck Park under one of the awnings.
Oh, that's so hard to get to.
What?
It's so hard to get to.
Nonotuck?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, you have to have a car, you have to drive, you have to find the spot. I mean, Millside makes more sense to me.
Oh, I see. Mill Pond Drive. Yeah.
But also there's you know where ECA held that visioning thing. That's a huge room in Eastworks.
Is it the
unless we wanted to have something that would be like a festival would be too much to put together. I mean, the Nolambika people are not even going to begin to want to do that because they already just did it and it was a ton of work.
Yeah, their own thing.
Right.
But yeah, I think keeping it simple, like, you know, you were saying, you know, maybe have people watch videos and then David Brule come and speak or, you know, answer questions, etc. Be a conversation. You know, maybe, you know, there could be some kids activities or something to engage younger people. So in that case, you know, it doesn't almost really even matter when it happens. You know, it's good to have it around one of those times just because some people are thinking about it at those times. But for the convenience of the Nolan Becca Project folks, it might be better not to have it because they're probably pretty in demand, like around the October and even Thanksgiving dates. I don't know.
Right.
But if we did it in October, I think, something fun but simple, I mean, fun in the sense of, I know it's serious, but people.
So what about something like this? Keeping in mind what you're saying, Marla. Supposing, I don't know when the last art walk is, but supposing we did something that tied it to the last art walk, and we saw if there could be some activities and tables for children's and family in the street. We could do something like show Nyana Lafon's work in one of the galleries. She does paintings of disappeared and murdered Native American girls and women. We could we could ask what was his name, Andamo, if he would lead some dances. I think we would want to use some of our budget to fund Nolan Becca to do some of this with us. Andamo, actually, he's not Nolan Becca, he's from Rhode Island. And he also knows somebody named Lucy Pearl who cooks, and maybe they could be some simple food that could be for sale at a stand. Something that was attractive to families and didn't totally exhaust us.
Right. Yeah. I like the idea of the dance for families and kids.
That was a fun dance they did up in Turner's Falls.
Right.
There was also somebody who had a table that had games.
Yeah, games would be good.
Yeah. So the advantage to doing something on October 9th is that nobody has nobody has school that day.
Right.
So we might get some families going to that.
So we just got to find out whether they're available, if anybody from that group is available. So
Right.
And can they really, help us think through it, what it should look like. And maybe we should stick with that.
The early emails, from a week ago said that, yes, they would be happy to work with us. But I also know from this other event that I'm working on that everybody's just stretched flat that whole weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think probably what we could count on would be the videos and maybe somebody turning up to lead a conversation. I don't think we could count on more, actually, to tell the truth.
Right. Yeah.
But it would be a start for us. It really would.
Yeah.
Let me mention about November. November is also Native American Heritage Month.
Oh.
So that we wouldn't have to focus on Thanksgiving, for example. We could do it for Native American Heritage Month.
Right. Yeah, that certainly gives us more time because Porch Fest is only a week and 2 days before October 9th. But we definitely, I hope to advertise any of our upcoming events at Porch Fest. So I'd like to have any posters done by then, for example, or flyers,
Good idea.
Who does posters for us, Emily?
We do them.
We do them?
Yeah.
We're talented like that?
Well, we use the skills we have.
Yeah.
Actually, I know somebody named Laura Kay who does amazing and beautiful posters and flyers.
For free?
Yeah.
Oh, but it would be good if we paid her a little something.
Yeah.
But she wouldn't be expensive, and she really does very good flyers and posters.
That sounds great.
Awesome. Okay.
Figured out what it is we were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds to me like we're talking more about November then, really.
Right.
And we could probably find a day when, you know, then, you know, the outdoors part becomes more challenging, but there may be an outdoor component. But you know, that might give more flexibility, and we could do it on a Sunday, for example, or, you know, we can, when family.
Here's a thought, Marla and everybody. So if we did something like Marla's saying, we could still use Eastworks, and we could have activities and tables and invite people as we're at the fair to have tables and sell and show their wares and stuff. We could have an exhibit from Niana LaFond. We could then use the Easthampton Media Room for the videos and basically do the whole thing. And I think we would get cooperation and probably enthusiasm from Will at Eastworks.
You think so? Do you have a relationship with him?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, maybe he would, you know, the space or whatever.
Yes. And if we were really lucky, then Burns Maxey would come in and help us too.
Burns.
Yeah, and maybe even the art exhibit could be at, maybe Jean-Pierre would do it in his gallery.
I would assume
they also still have gallery space at Eastworks.
Yeah, I think gallery there. I think MAP is closing. I heard that, or it's something like that. I heard that at the ECA meeting. But
well, Justin has the 50 Arrow Gallery, but from what I saw, he's got it programmed for quite a while to come.
Your head is splitting. Yeah, I think we need to be careful not to overreach and make it too big that we can't organize it. So
like we really would have to make all decisions by September 5th because, well, I mean, I just feel like we should have something listing the event at Porch Fest coming up, you know, but maybe not. Maybe we don't need to have it all figured out. But it sounds like we're agreeing that November it should take place.
So next step really is you know what you've been doing, Mary, trying to hear back from them and maybe their input on what they think and the ideas that we've shared. So dates, you know, and what could be done, what dates.
If they can pin down a date that they could do it, maybe a Sunday.
So I could ask them for a date. So asking them to meet with us. I'm looking on the Native American Heritage Month website, government website. And boy, they have a bunch of things. There's also NACOB, Native American. There's the New England.
So many things.
Oh shoot. Is it NACOB? North American Indian Center of Boston. we could probably get some help from there. But, you know, first to talk to the Nolambiga people.
Mm-hmm.
How should we proceed?
Mm-hmm. Well, I like the idea of showing the videos. They're like an easy way to get some education. I started watching them today. They're good quality. One of them is geared for kids because there's kids in it. I don't know. I guess I like the idea of like some contained things. Like we'll get this artist to show their work, or this artist to lead a craft project with kids, and we'll have this Native American food available as a snack in this hour, and then that's it. You know, like
Yeah, I agree.
2 hours or 3 hours, or we get the guy that leads the dance, you know, for this particular time period, and just like some specific things, and not do like an art show with people bringing in all their art, because
Yes,
No, that's too much.
that puts pressure on people coming, you know, like talk and potentially buy, and yeah, and it's just
So
you can't guarantee an audience a little bit.
I wonder if we could do two things with this.
Mm-hmm.
One is we show it
Mm-hmm.
wherever it is we decide we want to show it.
Mm-hmm.
And then also we talk to teachers
Mm-hmm.
about maybe using it in their classroom.
Mm-hmm. Right. Thought of that.
I'm working in the schools one day a week in the literacy program.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you all already have better context than I, because I don't have good context, I'm just there and I'm getting to know them.
Mm-hmm.
I could bring it up and see if the person I work with has a suggestion of who might want to, you know, how they might use this in the classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
So that while we're doing something for the adults, there's also something happening in the schools. What do you think of that?
I think that's a good idea. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think really the next step is like if you can hound the Nolan Becca people and see if we could get, you know, one or two people from there participating and kind of lay out for them what we've talked about in terms of various activities for that time frame and what they would be willing to do and what they would be interested in doing. And then we, you know, see what they say.
And if there is a fee or a donation.
Right. Yeah. You know, I can see their suggestions about it. And I'm happy to, you know, I think you've been already communicating well with them. So just, you know, keep going.
Well, except I think that we should try to meet with them, and more than I should.
So,
well, I mean, can we? Yeah, I mean, maybe we have to meet with them on their schedule rather than they meet our meeting schedule.
Well, yeah, this has already come up. So, but I think maybe a couple of people could go up to where they are in Greenfield.
I mean, I'd be happy to do that with you if it's helpful.
Yes.
And the timing works.
Okay. Now, the thing is that I wouldn't be able to do anything until after September 15th.
Right.
I mean, I could certainly email them. You know, it's now mid-morning.
When are you leaving, Mary? When are you
I'm leaving Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay. So you've got a week left, yeah.
No, I don't have a week. I really don't.
Well, I mean, just, in terms of whatever.
I know when you say it, I realize, yes, I guess it is 1 week from now, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels like in 2 days.
I know. Yeah.
But what I can do is I can write. Marla, what kind of times do you have? What kind of
Well,
dates?
I have a lot of flexibility. It's just, I also have a lot of appointments, already in. So it just depends on
Is there a particular day that's good for you? Like, how are Wednesdays for you?
Wednesdays are not the best usually because I have a commitment in the all morning, but I can make that work on a one-time basis.
Wednesday afternoon?
Wednesday afternoon are usually okay. Just
what about
depending
Thursday
on
afternoon?
Are we talking about this week? No, we're not talking
about after the 15th.
Oh, after September 15th.
Right.
To meet with them.
Would it help if Marla and I went, or?
Yes.
Because I have a lot to do.
Either we could wait until after the 15th and 2 or 3 of us could go. 3 of us is better than 2 of us.
Mm-hmm.
Or the 2 of you could take it on.
Mm-hmm.
But how about if I see if there's a Wednesday or a Thursday after September 15th and the 3 of us could go?
That's fine.
Thursday after,
make it work
for you, Rebecca?
What's that?
How are Wednesdays and Thursday afternoons for you?
I mean, they're often good. I've been sharing my car with my son, and his schedule is a little unpredictable, but he's usually trying to take Wednesdays.
But we would want to go in one car.
Yeah, so I might not need the car, so that makes it even better. So yeah,
we can go together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should say that I'm going to be out of the country again from October 24th. I think is very tentative right now for about 3 weeks. So depending on when it's scheduled, I may have to miss the event. But if it's later, that in November, that I'll be back.
Okay, so let's say that I'm going to write and see if it's possible for us to come up to them. A Wednesday or a Thursday after September 15th. When is Porch Fest?
September 30th.
And I'm going to say that we think that October 19th is both too soon and too complicated for most likely for them. And so that we're thinking of doing something in November as it is Native American Heritage Month, which fits in perfectly with our aims and goals. And that what we would like to do is minimally a showing of the videos with a talk and conversation and a parallel event in the schools. And if they're up to it and we're up to it and we can put it together, a series of activities for that is family oriented on the day of the event.
Sounds good. So I'm aware of the time. We need to get to Porch Fest now. So sounds awesome.
Sounds great. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, let me mention. So the thing I was concerned with later also got canceled. So if you're worried about 7:30 for my sake, I mean, I'm going to get tired, but I actually I don't have to worry about connecting with something at 8.
Okay.
I have something at 8 o'clock. So.
Oh, so you do. Yeah. Okay.
That is 45 minutes from now. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will try to last as long as I can. I might have to go around 7:40.
Yeah.
That's half an hour from now.
Yeah.
So number 8.
Let's go.
We can do this.
So Porch Fest, it's on September 30th. Rain date is October 1st. I sent Pasqualina the list of ideas that some of us came up with, and included some of their ideas. I know that they were going to be having another meeting But I haven't heard back. I think she really would say that they are open to anything. That we suggest. Gosh, why can't I find my list?
Excuse me, one thing.
Yeah.
Even though we don't know yet, as soon as we could get a date from Nolambika, we could do a save the date.
That's true.
By the 30th.
Right. That's true. That's true.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
So a little flyer that saves the date.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Why can I not find my nice long email? Damn it.
Because you have COVID, maybe?
I know.
No, because emails hide.
When you're under
a search feature, but the search feature is very coy.
Like
when you need it now, it never works.
Yeah. I just fear, like, what if I didn't actually send it? That would be terrible.
Well, then you would find it in drafts.
What, to Pasqualina?
Yeah. I also sent it to you guys, didn't I? FYI, like.
Let's have a look.
It would have been maybe Friday last week that I sent it.
Yeah, I think you wrote on August 10th to Pasqualina.
There it is.
Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
August 10th, 1:22 p.m.
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think so the ideas were meal tickets or gift cards from the Chamber of Commerce to the musical artists, free drinks or snacks to Porch Fest goers. They're not going to be doing food, Porch Fest folks. That doesn't mean they're not recruiting some businesses. I haven't heard yet whether they're going to have something at all. But they're not dealing with food. So they have golf carts moving people around. I think that might be nixed already because I called one golf cart company and they don't allow golf carts on city streets, or most towns don't allow golf carts on their streets.
Emily, here's a thought on that.
Yeah.
The 3-county fair people have golf carts. And Smith College has golf carts. And if we can get approval from the city for them, we might be able to get carts from one of those two places. I once was standing out at the 3-county fairgrounds and got quite friendly with the guy who runs that, and he was quite nice. And we have a connection to Smith College through both Dan Rist and Connie Denham. So they could tell us whom to ask.
Yeah. We would just have to make sure that, like I don't know that all of the streets are being closed in New City, and just not sure public safety allows golf carts on city.
Oh, let me ask you something else.
Mm-hmm.
You know the trolley that's parked over by 180?
Yeah, I don't know who owns that, who drives it, but
well, we can find out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is that a thought?
Mm-hmm. Possibly. I mean, it's supposed to be walkable. That's the point. So I don't know that. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
It's not like golf carts, which help people who have a hard time walking.
Right. 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 Golf carts are low for, people can step onto them easily. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What am I thinking? Williston has golf carts.
Mm-hmm.
And they always like to help the town.
Okay. Well, anyway.
Well, that's something I could ask about, but I won't be here.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Oh, excuse me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
I have to answer something about an eye appointment.
Mm-hmm.
I'll mute.
Okay.
So what is our role in Porch Fest? We're just like helping out with whatever they need us to do, or?
Well, they said that we should decide what we want to do. You know, like they are open, they're open to it, and they want it to be partly like to serve our needs. They don't expect to tell us what to do necessarily. I mean, I think we ought to have a tent or a porch and do some sort of like interactive thing, whether it's like a big map of Easthampton, people just put a pin where they live or what neighborhood they're in, or, you know, answer surveys. I mean, we really could get creative with it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of time and effort my brain isn't right now.
Okay. Because you had asked me if I would volunteer with all of you, and is that what you're talking about? Volunteering would be just doing what we're doing. We're not like helping organize the Porch Fest.
Yeah,
they have other people doing
we
that.
might end up, you know, helping be tour guides for them or something, but we'd always have someone at our tent, a person or two at our tent, acting as liaisons for the CRC. But I said we could help with other things, you know.
Okay.
Whether it's driving the golf carts around, you know, like I didn't know, you know, what it could be, but what do you guys think we should do for Porch Fest? Do you have is anything really standing out to you as yes or no?
Well, I like your idea of something interactive. You know, the map idea is good. You know, we talked about when we were trying to do that other thing about having people kind of, you know, have a big flip chart and they would put up stuff that they like or complaining about, you know, in terms of Easthampton. So yeah, we could have sort of a booth that had a number of those different kinds of things in it. We could be, you know, asking people to fill out surveys if they had time. Yeah, and I think that would be plenty. I mean, right? And maybe we could have a little food.
Can you repeat that idea? I apologize.
It's okay. I was just saying, you know, in line with what Emily was raising, what we would do, we would have a space somewhere, you know, maybe hopefully in somebody's yard. We'd have to get an agreement, you know, to be in the particular space. And we would have a map where people could locate themselves on it in Easthampton, and maybe something where they could sort of like game-like, you know, make their positive and negative comments about Easthampton and also fill out surveys. And we could be there, you know, telling them what we're cooking up next and, you know, the save the date for the November thing and that kind of stuff. So, and then, you know, maybe we could do a little circulating too, I suppose, but that seems like that would work. And but we just, how do we get the space? How do we get somebody to allow us to do it?
Couldn't we put a table couldn't we put a table on the street?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Porch Fest folks have been collecting volunteers in that neighborhood who are willing to serve up their porch or their yard or whatever. So I'm assuming we would talk with Pascalina. I think she said they were going to be locating themselves near Parsons and Federal. So it's possible we should be there also, or it's possible we should be on the opposite side. I don't know, we can ask. But we could borrow a tent from the city, right, Rebecca? They have tents for us to borrow.
That's what we were told, yeah. So we should be able to do that.
Right, yeah.
We were thinking of renting tents, remember? And then...
I actually have one.
Right. Oh,
I actually have
the city has them. That's what we
If we can't get it from the city, I have one.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what about a game of like love it versus hate it or something like that? Like, sorry, too big. Arlo, it's okay. It's okay. Too big. I don't know what that is. Big jars, clear, and they have to put like why they love Easthampton or one thing they want changed about Easthampton and which one fills up faster over the course of the day. Something like that.
Yeah, that can be good. The thing I would suggest is that it be public, not in jars, but rather on a sheet or something. If we can set it up that way, because then people see what other people have said right away.
Right.
And it's more like a dialogue or a conversation.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So we can just put it onto, big sheets of paper, or pieces of cloth or something like that. And then it also prevents us from getting a lot of little snippy comments in the negative jar later that we have to try to figure out what to do with.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. If we had, I'm thinking of that visioning thing that Pasqualina did. She had big folding panels that you could put up.
Mm-hmm.
And if we had a folding panel and Post-its and stick pins, then people could write things.
Yeah.
I also think if we had panels, well, there isn't time to do this, but the history of Easthampton is so interesting, or you'll also put who lives here. I don't know. I mean, it just seems like there's no time to do anything and I'm going to be away.
I know.
Maybe just the 2 jars thing or a panel.
We need more people.
Yep.
What?
Yep.
We need more people.
I think we should have a big poster that says recruiting new CRC members.
Yeah.
Well, but I think we should be recruiting both volunteers and new members, because it may be that people don't want to make the commitment to actually join.
Right.
They might be willing to volunteer.
Right.
Yeah.
We had a volunteer sheet that had like different things that people could do. Work on events, do outreach.
Right.
We'd have to think of what they are. I just think that would be a wonderful thing to have.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because I think that once people work with us and see how wonderful we are, despite all rumors to the contrary, that of course some people will want to join.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we've got a lovely job to do. And if we had more people and the right people, we'd actually be able to do it.
Yeah. There you go.
So could we have both?
Yeah.
Volunteer and
yeah.
And then maybe see if we can get a wall to put up.
Yeah, some kind of a folding board or whatever. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. Okay. So we need to decide budget and what we're going to tell Pasqualina that we will do for them, so to speak.
Cleanup. I think volunteering for cleanup.
Yeah. You always need cleanup people.
Spanish-speaking flyers are good. Is there a flyer already designed?
I don't know yet. I mean, there was a save the date thing already designed, but that's not the actual Porch Fest thing. So,
and, if you have somebody who can translate it, given that I'm about to go away, that would be good. Otherwise, I'm Spanish speaking, so.
Okay. Do you want to give me the name of someone else who could do it?
Besides me?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I have somebody else.
No. Okay.
I can't but imagine Pascagoula doesn't have people like that though.
I know, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say clean up, or set up, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Those, what do they need? What do they need help with?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But
Monitoring I'm not going to monitor people's alcohol consumption.
No.
In case they're sneaking their paper bags around.
Right. Yeah.
They've got their wine in their cooler, their little water bottles.
Yeah. Do you think we should offer some food or a snack of some sort
at the table?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
So budget wise, because I am actually going to have to go in a couple minutes, but so we need, what do we need money for? I mean, if we can get the tent, we need money. Does the city have any kind of a bifold board we could use, or do we need to get one of those?
Pascagoula had some for that event in Eastworks that she did. They might have belonged to Eastworks, or she might have gotten them from the city.
Okay.
You may be, yeah.
Okay. I can ask Pascagoula.
But we also have to make sure that they'll stand up and not fall down on anybody.
Right.
And in terms of a tent, if we hit a snag there, I do have a very nice pop-up tent.
Does anybody? I think I can get a hold of. We have one card table. I think our neighbors might have a long table.
I have
might be able to borrow from them.
I have 2 card tables. I have a door with. I have 2 card tables, and I have a door with horses.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we don't need money for that. So we might need money for food.
We would need transportation for that. I mean, the door is light, but it's long.
Okay. I might.
And I have a lot of folding chairs. I mean, I don't know. If the city can supply us, since we're a city committee, I think they should. But otherwise, if we're on our own, I've got stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Including,
I think what we need money for
this table.
Oh, good. Yeah, I have some really colorful tablecloths too.
Okay.
Or if we wanted
we need
to,
food,
or if we put together 2 card tables, Marla, that would do it.
right?
Okay.
We need food, maybe paper goods of some type, and
But what kind of
whatever.
food? What kind of food? And doesn't it need to be packaged for hygienic reasons?
It does need to be packaged. It would be totally ideal.
I mean, if you just want to do generic snacks like we did for the thing, the movie event, I could go to Costco again and get those.
What were the generic
things? Well, we had like little bags of popcorn and chips and, nothing too healthy. Granola bars. There were nuts. And let's see, what else did we have? I think that was when we did order sandwiches, which were unwrapped, which that wouldn't work in this scenario because we couldn't be.
Well, I
able to
remember
keep them
that. They
cool.
were good sandwiches.
Yeah, they were. But yeah, so I mean that kind of thing could be arranged.
Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if we could give some provisioner that we would like to support the job of giving us, of selling us snacks? Wouldn't that be nice?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, if there's somebody in town or in Holyoke or somewhere that could do some interesting, wholesome snacks.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Where we'd be giving business not to Costco, but to some minority or
I agree.
Or minority woman or other woman or somebody.
I totally agree. I would love to do some sort of
I mean, and who would we know?
Well, it depends on the kind of snacks you're talking about. I mean, even Big E's is a local business, and we did get sandwiches from there. They weren't as I recall, I don't think they were willing to wrap them individually. We would have had to do that, but
Maybe we could ask the Chamber of Commerce if they know anybody.
Yeah,
I mean, Biggie is local, but it's also a big business. You know, I mean, we're not.
sure, whatever. I don't care. I'm not wedded to it.
I mean, then we could always go to the food co-op. I'm just
I
thinking.
mean, the local businesses we have that do wonderful snacks are pretty expensive, you know, like Small Oven and, you know, all that. But
I mean, what, like who?
Small Oven, for example. But we can maybe find somebody smaller or, you know, not right on the scene or, yeah. I mean, it would be kind of a shame to have to go outside of Easthampton to do it.
Right.
Maybe there's somebody who's like a caterer that we don't know about, you know, that does exist. Just don't know who to ask.
The Chamber of Commerce. Well, except, you know, people have to be doing pretty well to be able to join the Chamber of Commerce.
So do you think we should?
I could ask the food co-op if they know of anybody.
Okay. Okay. Do you think we should offer anything else in terms of money so they can count on it at all or not? Like, you know.
Offer the Porch Fest money?
Yeah.
From our budget for their stuff? They don't have a budget?
No, they do have a budget. They do have a budget. So.
Well, there's something they need help with.
Right.
I mean, I
I'm just wondering, in order to be a co-sponsor, like
co-sponsor, do they want a monetary contribution?
They didn't necessarily say that, but they did suggest like you could pay for some of the bands, and they're paying the bands like $400 or something.
Per band?
Would be terrific. I would think it'd be terrific if we sponsored a band and publicly sponsored it, and if the band were a minority.
Yeah, sponsor a band. That's a good idea.
You know, and then we would be on the program as CRC is sponsoring this group.
Good. I like that too.
Can we ask ECA and then somebody?
Okay, I can ask that.
I gotta go, folks. So I'm approving the budget.
Okay.
Well, do we have to actually have a vote?
$300 for food. I don't know.
Can we just come up with a not to exceed that? So not to exceed $1,000.
Yeah.
And then take a vote, and then we've done something formal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I propose that we budget for our collaboration on Porch Fest up to $1,000.
Can I suggest an addition and authorize? I don't know if we have a volunteer. Emily, do you want to be the one asking the mayor? Because since our money was still mayor's allocated funds, so to authorize Emily to write to the mayor requesting approval.
Yes.
As required. And you might want to request, you know, if you're copying Lindsay, ask about the tent and all of that kind of stuff too. But if that's all right, if you don't mind accepting that as part of your motion, Mary, that would be nice.
No, that's a friendly amendment, not the asking for the tents, because I think
let's add that. Yeah.
But
so
I propose that we authorize spending up to $1,000 for our collaboration with Porch Fest, and that we delegate our chair, Emily Britton, to negotiate that with the mayor.
Okay.
I second.
Great.
Negotiate isn't quite the right word, but whatever it is.
Well, to get it, you got to get it approved, but
right.
Okay.
And
we'll put
Rebecca seconded it.
Right.
I'll second that. Yeah.
Okay.
So vote.
So
vote.
Emily might want to call the roll call.
Is this,
Okay.
is this our first formal vote with the four of us?
I think so.
I think we
I
really
think so.
Well,
voted on
on
this
something
before.
Do a roll
important,
call,
on
Emily.
an event, yeah, on an event, yes.
Okay, so voting first. Rebecca Pasa?
Yes.
Yes. Marla Solomon?
Yes.
Mary Ansara?
Yes.
And me, Emily Britton, I vote yes. Great.
Yeah.
Approved. Up to $1,000
Okay.
for
Woohoo.
Porch Fest.
Exciting.
And approval from the mayor to be requested by me. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Thanks, everybody. I got to run, but
Okay.
I'll see you the next meeting.
okay. Great.
Do you,
Okay.
Thanks.
do you have anything to say about the next meeting?
Oh, do you have a conflict for September 5th?
Oh, I think, let me just double check. I'm pretty sure it's okay. No, I'm okay.
Yeah, we're going to have the meeting when Mary's gone, so we just won't be able to take any votes. But yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Unless
Yep,
Mary
I'm good.
zooms in
I'm good.
in early morning, right?
All right.
Not
Not
from
that-
Australia. That's too much.
Oop,
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, well, the next item on the agenda is just the meeting date and then adjourning. So the
Yeah.
next meeting should be September 5th, 6 p.m.
Oh, wait a minute, everybody.
Yeah.
If, in fact, you need me,
Mm-hmm.
in fact, it is 8 a.m. in Sydney at 6 o'clock.
Yeah. So if you're up for it,
Yeah.
Well, what I would say is if you need me,
Mm-hmm.
text me
Okay. Are you going to be getting
or
text?
WhatsApp me. Do you
Or
all, does
WhatsApp.
anybody use WhatsApp?
I do. I'll put you into WhatsApp. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So if you need me, WhatsApp me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah. So there's a memorial for somebody dear on that date on Zoom at
Mm.
7.
Mm. Okay.
So I don't know if you mind having it a short meeting
Yeah,
or.
we could try to have it at 5:30.
Mhm. Of
Yeah.
course, that would be 7:30 a.m. in Sydney.
Oh, yeah.
But by the time you needed me, but I'll be up anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you could make it at 5.
I barely get home.
Oh, you
by
can't.
then.
Okay, 5:30.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because you have to have at least 3 people.
Right. Right. Okay, I'll check with Marla, see if she can do 5:30. I did have someone from Essential Partners intending to come that night, but I don't know that I still should, So,
Well,
We should wait until Rebecca's talked to Daryl and we've done a couple of other things.
right, right. Rebecca,
yeah, and well, I was going to say, you see, they Essential Partners may be a good fit a bit later. As you said, if you did a lot of work, but then you didn't have really all the people that you wanted to get trained,
Mhm.
then that would be frustrating. But it could be down the road as we
Mhm.
continue to work like this and do some things and hopefully get some more
Mhm.
people's attention and help in different things. And yes, talk to Derek Dean. But I feel like they could be a good fit once we really say, okay, we've got this bunch of people interested in getting trained, right?
Mhm.
And they will show up, and then it's worth
Mhm.
getting the whole bunch of them trained. But
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
also have to say that I think it would be wonderful for us to have an event or a series of events that was called Having Difficult Conversations,
Mhm. Mhm.
about Easthampton.
Mhm.
I just think that would be wonderful.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
sure. And if we are initial trainees, maybe there's something we can do. I mean, that's something I'd ask Derek Dean also.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll find it. We'll find the right fit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, there is the whole train the trainer participatory education model. And we're just not quite plugged into it, but it's there for us.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And I believe there's people in Springfield.
Yeah. Okay. I'm getting nauseous. I have to go.
Okay. Well, thank you for being with us, Emily.
Yeah.
And thank you, NFD 881977 for listening in to this meeting.
Thank you for being with us.
We appreciate it, having the public come.
Whoever it is.
Yes. We don't know who NFD is.
We don't know who it is, but they're welcome.
Yes, they are. And thank you for
come back
being
again.
Okay. So I'm making a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Okay, I second that.
Okay, great. Okay. Roll call, Rebecca Passa.
Yes.
Yes. Marianne Sarah.
Yes.
Yes. And me, Emily Britton. So 7:50 p.m.
Yes, adjourned at 7:50.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.